All right, what's up, guys? I'll get my headphones on in a second. I got to charge them. Zerf, Zerfum de South. What's up, man? Welcome to the chat. Do you think high school players should use creatine? 100% yes. When I was growing up and when I was in high school, there was kind of this, there was this belief that like creatine led to like you injuries and like cramping up and like pulling hamstrings and stuff. And and they're like, well, you got to drink a lot of water. It's like, no, in reality, just most players in high school are not hydrated properly, right? They're very underhydrated, and so that ends up leading to injuries where you're pulling your hamstring and other things like that. And again, because back then, people were basically told to take like 5 grams, even less than that, of creatine. Z, I'm just going to call you Z because I don't want to say Zerfum every time. Z, there's like creatine is the most studied supplement, I think, on planet Earth. And they're actually finding out more and more things. I was actually just talking to my wife about this morning. There's a great clip of Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. They were at an event. They're driving in a golf cart together. And Rory McIlroy was talking about how he takes 10 grams in the morning before he works out, and he takes another 10 grams later in the day. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, not just for the creatine, but because you need to be properly hydrated. You should be drinking somewhere in the realm of like 72 ounces of water a day, if not more. If you do both of those things, you're going to see massive, massive results in the weight room, but also cognitively as well. Creatine has been proven to negate the effects of sleep deprivation. So if you're a parent out there and you got little kids like me, you take 10 grams of creatine a day, you're not going to feel nearly as tired as you do typically. But they've shown, like, there's a lot of studies out there of people taking like 25 grams of creatine a day and seeing massive results, even like on par with like taking 10 grams, like you're getting the same effect doubled, right? With muscle gain, everything like that. The one caveat with creatine is it does cause intestinal issues with what I found is if I take 15 grams in one serving at one time, like that's going to cause me to have to go to the bathroom at some point relatively quickly. So what I do is I take 10 in the morning and then I take 10 like after dinner. And that's fine with me. So I suggest high school players, every high school player I work with, I suggest to take a minimum of 10 grams a day. And based on your weight, if you're a physical guy, around 200 pounds or more, 15 grams, something like that, and space it out. Go 10 grams in the morning and go 5 or 10 in the evening. But 100% would recommend creatine to any high school player, right? The old kind of understood thing where creatine can lead to injuries, that's just not the case. It's not the case. What typically is happening is the player's taking creatine, but they're also, they don't drink any water, and then they pull a hamstring. Well, if you're not hydrated, you're way more likely to pull a muscle. So D1 Baseball updated the Georgia Tech Regional 1, Georgia Tech, 2, Vandy, 3, St. John's, 4, Penn, and y'all are paired up with the Tallahassee Regional. Yeah, I saw that. We're going to get into it in a little bit, Zach. That would be a pretty tough region. St. John's playing really well right now. Obviously, Vandy is Vandy. Although Vandy's just been kind of decent in the SEC right now. But it's going to be interesting to see. We'll look into all the regionals and talk about kind of who got the easy regionals, in my opinion, versus, guys who got pretty difficult regionals. But we're going to get into that in a second. Don't worry. But thanks for the question, Z. That's a good one because I there's a lot of stigma around creatine, and like I said, creatine. If you ask any strength coach like that's up to date on all the new stuff, creatine is like you talk about a tier 1 supplement, meaning a supplement that you will see the most benefit from. It's protein and creatine. Everyone knows protein's really good for you. Eat whatever your goal body weight is. Eat that amount of grams of protein per day. So if you're trying to get to 185 pounds, eat 185 grams of protein a day. Like like, again, when I was coming up, it was like you all you need is 40 grams of protein a day. Your body can't utilize the rest of it. BS. It's not true. All the studies have proven it. Eat as much protein as you can and take anywhere from 10 to 20 grams of protein a day. If you are taking 20, space it out in the morning and then later in the day around dinner time or after dinner. Okay, thank you. Do you have any tips for a young baseball player who's looking to put on size and mass, and what workouts should I be doing? Okay, yeah, great question. You know what, Zach, I'm the perfect person to ask that because my sophomore year in college, I was 158 pounds. Okay, so I had to go in that offseason instead of playing in the Cape again. That summer, I went home, I worked out, I ate 6,000 calories a day, which is a lot, but I had 3 months to put on like 15 to 20 pounds. So I ate 6,000 calories a day, probably 100 to 150 grams of protein a day. And that took about 2 weeks to get for my body to get used to. I was forcing food down my mouth, like gagging, completely full, but I knew my goal was to put on weight. I had to do it. After about 2 weeks, my body adjusted and I was just hungry all day. So it was actually really easy to eat that much food and, the protein shakes and stuff. But Zach, or is not Zach, Zirfum de South, my advice for workouts is just get the big workouts in. Get your bench press in, get your squats in, get your pull-ups in, get your hamstring, your RDLs, deadlifts, right? The big premium lifts, and then get some of your supplemental lifts on top of that. If you want to do bicep curls and tricep extensions, farmer's walks or kind of hangs for your forearms, and get your lower body accessory lifts in. But there's not you don't need to be doing like these specialized baseball workouts at your age. If you're in like high school or even in college, you're going to see the most gains from the primary, the big three lifts, your squats, your bench press, your deadlifts, stuff like that. So make sure you're moving heavy weight. Really, the thing with workouts, it's not just about getting your lift in. It's about, is the workout challenging enough for you that every day you get out of the weight room and you're tired and you're sweating and you felt like, man, I got pretty close to failure there a few times. That should be the goal every day. If you're feeling like that every day after walking out of the weight room, you're going to put on weight. And then again, if you're a sophomore in high school, you don't need to eat 6,000 calories a day, but I would suggest 4,500 to 5,000. And again, there's ways to do that. 150 grams of protein a day. That'll do everything you need. Zach, so you see how bad the transfer portal is for football and NIL. Do you think baseball is as bad? It's not as bad right now, but it certainly will get there, Zach, 100%. Buck, I put my son on a version of your plan with 4 meals a day and trying to get 150 grams of protein as he did his winter workouts. Definitely added to his strength and muscle mass this spring. Yeah. And Buck, I would add on to that 10 to 15 grams of creatine a day. And again, I can handle 10 grams at one time. Some people there may be some digestive issues. You just have to kind of play it. I tried to go to 15 grams at one time and I was on the bathroom for a while. So I do 10 grams in the morning. I do 10 grams in the evening, and I'm like 180 to 185 pounds right now. So, based on that body weight, adjust down or up. But that's what I've been doing. And no surprise, your son, I mean, if you're eating 150 grams of protein a day, you're going to see big results really quickly. He has a good amount of capacity for muscle, so we'll ramp it up as he enters high school next year. And again, he's your son. I forget, your son's really young, so I mean, he's got plenty of time. Like, the only reason I had to eat 6,000 calories a day is because I had a 3-month time period to put weight on. So, if I had 3 years or 4 years, I don't necessarily need to be putting on 20 pounds in 3 months. I need to be putting on like 7 or 8 pounds a year, 5 pounds a year. So it just depends on where you're at in your career and the timing of it to understand why you have to do that. Interesting around the creatine. I'll look into it. Yeah, I mean, Buck, creatine, there's a stigma. There was a stigma in my generation that creatine kind of caused soft tissue injuries and stuff. It's completely BS. Creatine is the number one most studied supplement on the planet Earth. And it is considered by any strength coach, physical trainer, a tier 1 supplement, meaning it is a supplement that it is the most it is the most proven supplement on planet Earth that you are going to see benefit from it. He's 13. I'm more focused on his height now than weight, muscle. No supplement can help that. 100%. This live is a Mickey Mouse operation. Dusty, I'm gonna time you out if you say something like that again. Right? I'm gonna time you out if you say something like that. What's up, fellas? What's up, Dust? We're about to get into the NCAA D1 baseball tournament projections, so we'll look at that. Smitty, what's up, Smith? Hey, Ram, what's your advice on a high school pitcher adjusting to collegiate ball hitters? Really, I mean, you're what you need to adjust to is, again, work on command the fastball down and away in the strike zone. Number one, command that. If you can throw that first pitch every time, you're going to have a lot of success. And then be able to mix up your pitches, everything like that. Wouldn't be the first time I've been banned on here. Shut up. But yeah, Smitty, you just have to, I mean, you really, one attribute of anyone who's successful in college, no matter if they throw 96 or if they throw 88, is that they can throw 3 pitches for strikes. So right now, for you, I'd be working on commanding all my pitches, getting comfortable throwing them in any count. Again, in your bullpen, throw everything. When you're playing catch with people, throw your changeup grip. Get used to releasing that. Most people can't throw a changeup because they never practice it outside of like throwing a bullpen and throwing it like 4 times. Well, there's a reason you can throw your fastball for a strike, because when you play catch, you're throwing a fastball, right? So when you're playing catch, what you see a lot of pitchers in pro ball do is they play catch with all their pitches. So they get used to commanding it from different distances and just becomes way more accustomed to throwing it. Do pitchers need to do any different lifts than usual baseball player? He is 16 and he is 6'4". Again, the most gains you're going to see in high school is just getting stronger in the big lifts, your squats, your deadlifts, bench press, everything like that. But you want to if you can, you want to mix in some explosive stuff in there, because baseball is, again, throwing and hitting is a very explosive movement. So any rotational lifts you have the ability to do, like if you have, a cable machine or some of these other machines that allow you to twist and rotate and kind of train that's a good thing to throw in there as well. How did I miss the start of the live? Damn. Well, I don't know. You should be getting a notification, Canes. You should have that bell rung for notifications. Have you ever seen that before? 3 runs on a walk, pitcher completely lost his mind. I don't know. Did you send me something, Zach? Let me check it out. One day away. I've been waiting for the live, literally. Let me see. Did you send it to me, Zach? Even better, check out Complete Conditioning for Baseball by Steve Tambora. Nice plugs, Dusty. Nice plug. But yeah, 100%. Do you have any thoughts on the water bag programs like the 108 way and using that to train explosiveness? I think from what I know, I don't know much about the water bag stuff. In my mind, I think it is good for like maintaining, again, like your weight distribution and learning when to explode into that twist and everything. So I don't know enough to like speak educated about the water bag stuff. I just know there's a lot of guys that I respect that think that think they're really good. So that's another way to train kind of the rotational acceleration and everything like that. Yeah, I think so, Buck. Let me see, Zach. Did you tag me in it? Kyle, would you suggest sending your guys to tread? I think tread is good at certain things, right? If you're trying to develop, I think certainly they've showed they can develop velocity, which means they can develop can help you become more explosive in your pitching mechanics. Do I agree with everything that tread does? No, but again, I'll probably say that about a lot of different places that do development. But I think, again, tread is really good at overall development of like pitch repertoire and stuff like that. So that's what I would. I mean, if I have no problem with tread, I think they do a good job with a lot of different things. I don't agree with everything they do. You know, the pitch slap things. I don't really. That's not my thing. I think it's I don't like it, but that's what they do. The problem is that people watch Skeens do water bag dry work and they think he throws hard because of the tool, forgetting he's 6'5", 240 donkey. He's going to throw 94 by accident. Indian, not the arrow. Yeah. Send it to Kyle P. Wren. Let me look. Did you DM me, Zach? Oh, you did. Okay. If for some reason it wasn't showing that I had one. Oh my gosh. That is hilarious. That's pretty good, Zach. That guy is big on deceleration for hitting rotation. I've been more focused on deceleration after Ron at TBR tipped us off to it. Basic idea, your body will only accelerate as much as it will decel. Well, yeah, that's what guys have called that is like, you know, velo slaps. You're right, Dusty. Sorry. It's like if you're driving a Ferrari, you better have really good brakes, or else you're going to crash. And the idea, Buck, is that, and again, your elite hitters that are very explosive, they have elite deceleration. They're able to turn and stop on a dime, right? And so the problem with training nothing but bat speed and some of these other things is that you're training to be explosive, but you can't slow down, so you can't be adjustable. Your pitch recognition doesn't matter because you can't slow down, and it's going to lead to injury. You need to be able to decelerate in your rotational move. Same thing is true of pitchers. At some point, they're exploding, and then they're getting over top of the like facing home plate and obviously rotating more. And the guys that just rotate off, a lot of times those guys struggle with command because their direction is off. So deceleration helps with overall direction in your rotation. It's like for hitters, it's even more important, right? Because I need to be able to decelerate to hit it to the opposite field, decelerate to center field, and then turn all the way, but not just spin around, right? And so that's why it's important. All right, let's get into the D1 baseball projections here for the field of 64. All right, let's see what we got going here. All right, so as of right now, SEC has 13 teams. So only 3 teams aren't going to make it. I mean, it's crazy. ACC has 10, Big 12 6, Big 10 4, Sun Belt 3, Big West 2, Conference USA 2, Southland 2. All right. Let's look at the teams. So Texas, as of right now, number 1 overall seed. They get Kansas State. Whew. That's a tough 2 seed. UTRGV, UT Rio Grande Valley, who's played really well, and that's assuming they are their conference champion. UCLA is the assumed conference champion as a 16 seed. They get Irvine, Duke, and Fresno State. That's a brutal. That's a pretty brutal regional. Arkansas gets Arizona State, Iowa, North Dakota State. The one thing I think you are going to start seeing is that these regionals, because there's so many SEC and ACC teams in the regionals, like look at right here, you only have, let's see, 3, 2, 2, 2. So you've got 9 teams out of the 64 that are not in the Power 4. So the ridiculousness is that these regionals are actually getting more and more competitive. There may only be a few where you're like, oh, that's a fairly easy regional. My God, SEC is getting 13 teams and A&M isn't one. Can you even believe it? What a world. I mean, A&M is, the way they're playing right now, they probably get in, just to be honest. Like, let's look at the standings in the SEC right now. Go away, ads. All right. So in the SEC, let's see where A&M sits. A&M right now is tied for 11th. Let's just call it their 12th. So they would be in as of right now at 6-9 because they've played really well in the last. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So they would be in, Dust. Okay, so let's go. Arkansas, Arizona State. We saw that. Arizona, Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Utah Valley. This one becomes a little bit. Again, I think this one becomes a little bit easier. Oklahoma's really good, but outside of that, Southern Cal's fine. But this becomes a little bit. It looks like maybe the easiest regional we've seen so far. Clemson, West Virginia, Kentucky, Central Connecticut State. I mean, yeah. So what? So much for being the third overall seed. You get West Virginia and Kentucky. Yikes. Yeah, they swept South Carolina, Dusty. Which again, that's not saying much. South Carolina's in the very bottom of the SEC. South Carolina's 2-13 in conference. So it's not saying much, right? And they face 1, 2, 4. I think the remaining slates are like the top 5 teams in the SEC. So it ain't going to be easy, and they could very easily miss the tournament. All right, Coastal Carolina gets Alabama, Virginia, and UNC Greensboro. Good luck. That's a brutal regional. I mean, that's going to be a bloodbath. Tennessee gets Louisville, Western Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, assuming both of these are conference champions. But Western Kentucky's, I mean, one of the best mid-majors in the country right now. Louisville's in the top 20. That's a brutal regional. Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Virginia Tech, Missouri State. My God, that's a brutal regional. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like college baseball, because the SEC and the ACC have so many teams in the tournament, there's just way less room for the other teams. And so these regionals are just, there's not really a regional that looks easy, except for, I'll bring it up here. I'm seeing it right now. All right, so Georgia, Wake Forest, Northeastern, Florida A&M. Yeah, I mean, that one looks kind of like again, none of these are easy, but this one looks like a fairly easier regional for Georgia. North Carolina gets Cal Poly, High Point, and George Mason. That one seems to be a little bit easier. I mean, some of these early regionals, I'm like, that's what you get for being the 2 seed? Arizona State, Iowa, and North Dakota State? Okay. Auburn gets NC State, Stetson, Tennessee Tech. Like, that ain't going to be fun. TCU gets UTSA, A&M, Wright State. Good luck there. Georgia Tech projected Vanderbilt, St. John's, who's playing really well right now, and Penn. That's not going to be an easy regional. Florida State gets Troy, Mississippi State, and Holy Cross. Yikes. Oregon State. Again, I don't understand why Oregon State's a national seed. You guys have heard me say this a million times. I don't think their track record against Q1 and Q2 teams is good enough to warrant a national seed, no matter how good their record is the rest of the way. They just have not played a very tough schedule, but they're kind of just gifted a national seed. I don't mind them being a host. If you want to put them as a 14 overall seed or 15 overall seed, that's fine. I don't get the Oregon State national seed, but they're getting punished with the schedule. Oregon and Kansas, 2 really good teams. I would actually I don't know. LSU, Dallas Baptist, McNeese, and Fairfield. They got Dallas Baptist in there, but I mean, again, if you're LSU, you're liking that setup. Hey, Kyle, how's your season going? We have one more game tonight before the playoffs start next week. And it's looking like we're going to be one of the top, we're going to be one of the top 5 or 6 seeds in the state tournament. I mean, I think it's incredible just how much more competitive. Even again, the regionals have always been competitive. I'm not trying to say they haven't, but there's always been a few regionals where you're like, man, that's a pretty easy schedule, and that's just not the case, really, or not a schedule, but a pretty easy matchup in the regional. There's only a few in there where I think, man, there's only a few that I saw that I'm thinking, man, the host is probably a heavier favorite. The rest of them, it's like, man, it could go either way with 2 or 3 teams. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on those regional projections right now? But thanks for the question, Graham. Now, obviously, we have a decent amount of Thursday games today, just because of Easter weekend. So we'll look through that slate right now. Let me pull it up. The Auburn draw is brutal. I mean, like Buck, there's a lot of brutal draws, and for like your number 2, number 3 seeds, I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's the reward, those teams? And again, some of them are teams that have kind of underperformed so far, but those are the teams that you're scared of in the regional, because if they click at the right time, they're a way better team than like their record shows, right? Can Penn pull off the Ivy upset? Was close a couple years ago. I mean, definitely possible. Okay, so right now you got Marshall, Coastal Carolina, West Virginia, Cincinnati, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Again, I mean, South Carolina now at this point is playing spoiler for potential hosts and everything like that. South Carolina, it's pretty much out of the realm of possibility that they can make the tournament, unless they just go on a run, which, again, they have talent on the team. It's been a little surprising just how bad they've played in conference. Again, before conference play, they were 19-4. Like, how crazy is that? A 19-4 team is 2-13 now in SEC play. Just insane. Someone is going to hate when A&M sneaks in as a 3 seed. Yeah, I agree, Buck. Like, what have I said so far? I think, like, A&M sweeping South Carolina last week, like, that was a warning shot to everyone else that has to play them. Like, this is not the same team. Again, they could regress back, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to play pretty well. I think they're going to play pretty good for the remaining portion of their schedule, and I think they make the tournament. TCU, UCF. UCF could play upset here. Arizona, BYU, Troy, UL Monroe. Louisville, Clemson. This may be the best matchup, one of the best matchups in the ACC this weekend. Can Louisville be the first team to win a series against Clemson? Because right now Clemson's undefeated in series in the ACC. Obviously the best team in the ACC according to record. I don't know if Clemson is the best team overall in the ACC. I still kind of lean Florida State, just because their pitching is so good. But Clemson has played the best so far. Southern Miss, Georgia State. This is a big matchup. Georgia State trying to kind of get a little bit above their one game above 500, try to finish strong in the Sun Belt. Georgia, Vandy. This will be a big weekend series. Auburn, Texas. I mean, SEC is just loaded with great series. Oklahoma, Missouri. Hopefully Missouri can get in the win column. They're 0-15 in the SEC right now. One of the biggest matchups is A&M, Arkansas, right? Because A&M's got to play well the rest of the way. And they're in Fayetteville against Arkansas, the number 2 team in the country. Like, this is going to be a tough one for A&M. Can they stay hot and beat Arkansas on the road? That's going to be a massive series. Alabama, LSU. Alabama has cooled off a little bit recently. And so can they kind of get back going? Again, Alabama was 22-1 before SEC play. Like, just talk about how difficult the SEC gauntlet is. They're 8-7 in the SEC. Hawaii plays UC Irvine. This is a big matchup. Hawaii's played really well. They're 10-8 in the Big West. They're 25-10. It's in Irvine though, so Hawaii's got a massive advantage when anyone has to travel to them. But can they play well traveling to Irvine? Oregon State, this is the stuff I'm talking about. All these other teams are playing big series. Oregon State's playing Cal State Northridge, who's 8-24. Like, give me a break. Why are they number 6 in the country? I don't get it. I'm not saying they shouldn't be a top 25 team and even a top 20 team, but number 6, I mean, come on. Big weekend. I guess it's postponed. This game's postponed down in Tallahassee, I'm guessing due to weather. But Virginia right at 500 in ACC play. Like, can they go on a run? Remember, they were the number 2 team preseason in the country. So can Virginia get going on a run? And then obviously, let's look at the rest of the weekend matchups. We got North Carolina, Virginia Tech. This will be a great series in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech is kind of right on that top 25 bubble. Can they take a series from North Carolina, who is playing a lot better now? North Carolina's offense has woken up, so it's going to be a tough series for Virginia Tech because North Carolina looks like they've figured it out offensively. Oh shoot, Buck! There was a shooting at FSU. I didn't even know that. Update: at least 5 dead, 4 injured in shooting at Florida State University. Report stating 2 shooters with 1 in custody and the other dead. The scene is still listed as an active shooter situation. It is unknown if there are other shooters. Man. Holy cow. Well, that is brutal. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Buck. Okay, so tough to keep going through the SEC or the top 25 schedules this week when you have that brought up. But Kentucky, Tennessee in Knoxville. This is going to be a tough one for Kentucky. All these we've talked about. Let's see the other ones. Georgia Tech, Miami at Mark Light Field. Again, with how Miami's played so far, I just don't know if Miami has enough offense. 2 out of 3 games. Again, right, with Griffin Hughes on the mound, could Miami potentially steal one? I think so. But just the remaining part of the pitching staff has not shown for Miami that they can hold down Georgia Tech's offense. Again, we'll have to watch and see, but I think this is definitely I think Georgia Tech's heavily favored to win 2 out of 3 and has a chance to sweep. Sorry, Kane. Sorry, Zach. UCLA, Oregon. Again, this is what I don't get. Why is Oregon not ranked higher than Oregon State? I do not get that. Oregon State's playing in the Big Ten, a much more difficult schedule. We have to see how they play against UCLA this weekend, but Oregon, really good team. This will be a great matchup, and it's in Eugene, Oregon, so they got home field advantage. Boston College and Wake, if they want to get into the hosting category, this needs to be a win, if not a sweep. They have 12 games remaining. They're at 500. They need to win this one. Same with Duke and Pittsburgh. Duke has to get like a sweep here to get back into a potential hosting category. And they got to play well the rest of the way. I saw you mention Georgia Tech looking to give Lodi's ABs/DH this weekend. No rush with our boy Coupe popping off. Let him cook. Yeah. Coupe's done a great job, man. He's done a great job taking advantage of his opportunities. And again, no one's going to replace Kyle Lodis in the lineup. He's been one of the best hitters in the country. So I think, from what I heard, he could play Friday. We'll just have to wait and see. But I do think they're giving him as much time as it takes to get healthy. They do not want him to kind of re-aggravate, and all of a sudden you're missing him maybe until the ACC tournament, right? You just don't want that to happen. You'd rather him miss an extra weekend or 2 than miss like 4 straight weekends and maybe even the ACC tournament. So a smart move by Georgia Tech with where they're at this part of the year in conference and as a record hole. Doesn't bother me. We will win. I'll be happy. And if we lose, we're back on the fire JD train. No surprise there from you, Zach. You must not know about our secret weapon. They made a call to the bullpen and said, Canes, it's your time to shine. Whatever it takes, I'll be in that parking garage. I'll be watching it, Canes. I'll be looking for those wide camera shots. I'll be looking for someone in the background. I followed Coupe's brother and sent his info to our staff. Yeah, I'm working with his brother. He's really good. Shortstop. He's an up the middle player. He's going to be real special. And let's look at the remaining slate in the ACC. So NC State versus Cal. Cal not playing well recently, coming off getting swept by Georgia Tech. NC State is playing much better recently. So it's in California. So not as really as tough a travel as you would expect. Again, going west is much easier than going east. So I think NC State probably takes 2 or 3 here. Stanford, Notre Dame, battle of the 2 of the bottom teams in the ACC. If Stanford wants any chance of getting into the regionals, they're going to have to sweep this. They got 12 games remaining. They have to sweep Notre Dame here to feel like they have a chance of getting into the tournament. It looks like Lodis is playing after the convo we had yesterday. Yeah, again, don't be surprised if he's like DH'd game 1, and based on how he feels, maybe he's playing shortstop the next game. Again, I just think from a strategy perspective, you just want to be 100% sure you give him the max amount of time to get healthy. With the day-to-day injury, again, I'm hearing oblique, but I can't 100% confirm that. I offered him NIL money to sit. He wasn't listening to my NIL offer. Yeah, I don't think so, Canes. That doesn't surprise me. I think Georgia Tech wins 2 of 3 this weekend. Yeah, I think that's a fine prediction. Again, because with Griffin Hughes pitching, Miami can beat anyone, right? If he's got his A stuff, he's going to be really hard to beat. Again, if he's pitching against Tate McKee, it becomes even more difficult. But Griffin Hughes is a guy who can beat anyone in the country. So you have one guy on the mound who, if Griffin Hughes can go deep, and he's done it, he's gone, I think complete game. So he can go deep. He's got really good stuff. So I think if you're looking at it, you just think, Miami has a chance at winning 1. It's just once you get outside of that, especially with how Brady Jones has pitched lately in his last 3 starts, he's looked much better. He's gone 5 innings and even deeper. And then Caden Spivey on Sunday has pitched really well, 5 innings, both starts, gotten you to the 5th inning without having to go to the pen. So that's really been the key for Georgia Tech's 2 sweeps is they've had a guy on Sunday that can shut down an offense for 5 innings and allowed the Georgia Tech offense to get out to a lead. And so Georgia Tech is just a much better team with Caden Spivey pitching on Sunday. You feel a lot better about sweeping a team with him on the mound. If Miami wins Friday, they win the series and can even sweep. See, Kane's the only thing I don't agree with there is that Miami's offense is just like not even close to Georgia Tech's offense. And if you got Kyle Lodis back, it becomes even more difficult for Miami. That's my point is outside of Friday, the question becomes, can Miami's offense outscore Georgia Tech's? And I just don't think that's going to be the case. I like our pitching better than yours. I don't like our bats better than yours. Well, I mean, let's just pull it up, Canes, and we'll look, right? I mean, we can do this. Right? It's just about, like, what's the production been for Miami's staff over Georgia Tech's? And right now, I mean, if you look just purely at the numbers, and I'll pull it up so everybody can see. Dusty says, I'm a touch nervous for this weekend. I think it's a harder task than it appears on paper. I don't disagree, right? And Canes, you're right. You're right in some sense, right? If you win on Friday with Hugus pitching, right, you just have to win one more to win the series. I just don't think the offense, and again, if you're without Derek Williams, who's been your leading hitter at 345 with 8 home runs and 11 doubles, that makes it even worse, right? That just makes it even more difficult for Miami to win the series. Miami's hitting 270 as a team. They've scored 255 runs in 38 games. Right? They're not scoring a lot of runs. And if you look at the pitching, all right, Griffin Hugus is sitting 9 starts, 4.11 ERA. He's thrown 50 innings in 9, so he's averaging over 5 innings a start. 40 hits, 59 Ks, only 17 walks. So this guy gives you the chance to beat anybody if he can go 6 or 7 innings. Outside of that, though, at the rest of the starters, you've got Reese Lumpkin, 5.11 ERA, Brian Walters, 5.3 ERA, Nick Robert, who's no longer starting, but it's 7.14 ERA. And as a team, they've got a 5.3 ERA. So just the numbers don't line up. I've heard from a source that Derek Williams is a dog. That's all I can say. Okay, so maybe he'll be back, I guess is what you're saying, since you are the enemy this weekend. But again, it's just there's not a whole lot of power. There's not a lot of extra base hits. They got, call it 110 extra base hits in 38 games. You're averaging less than 3 extra base hits a game. And then on the flip side, we go to Georgia Tech's. We go to Georgia Tech stats. Let me stop sharing that. So the flip side is this. Georgia Tech is hitting 336 as a team. That's 70 points higher than Miami's team. All right. They have 107 doubles. That's almost double the amount of doubles Miami has. They have 59 home runs. That's a decent chunk more than Miami. So in 37 games, they've got, call it 175 extra base hits. They're averaging almost 5 extra base hits a game. So almost double the extra base hits that Miami is. You add on top of that just really high walk rate as a team. They've got a 440 on base percentage. 576 slugging. They've scored 365 runs in 37 games. They're averaging 10 runs a game, which is a good 4 or 5 runs higher than Miami per game. And then as a pitching staff, Georgia Tech's got a 4.23 ERA. You look at what Brady Jones together, pretty solid. No losses, 3.89 ERA, not that many innings, right? I mean, in 9 starts, he's averaging less than 4 innings per start, but in his last 3, he's gotten to the 5th inning or deeper, and his walks have gone down, and he's still striking out a lot of guys. Tate McKee's been really good. You kind of know what you're going to get with him. He's going to get to the 5th inning or deeper. In 9 starts, he's right at 5 innings a start. So he's going to go 5. Striking out a lot of guys, not walking a lot of guys, right? So he's a very good matchup for Hugus And then bullpen wise, you got Patel, who's been elite, even though he has kind of come back down to earth a little bit. You've got Payton, who's been really good, even though he's kind of command has been a little bit iffy lately, and he's gotten hit a little bit more. But then you still got a lot of serviceable. This is like, if you're a Miami fan, this is what you look at here. All right, in conference, Georgia Tech's still hitting .333. They're destroying the ball even in conference. But in conference, look at what Caden Spivey's done in 2 starts and 6 appearances, and most of his walks coming out of the bullpen. He's got a 1.04 ERA. Payton's got a 2.2. Patel's got a 2.8. Tate McKee and Brady Jones have been a right out of 4. So they haven't been quite as good as they were against non-conference. The thing that you're concerned about if you're Georgia Tech is look at the rest of these numbers from your bullpen arms. And we're 18 games in. 18 games in, you leave out Riley Stanford, who all of his appearances were starts. Look at the rest of the bullpen. 1 inning, 5 innings, 4 innings, 3 innings, 2 innings, 1 inning, 1 inning, 4 innings, 2 innings, 0.1, 0. So if you're Miami, what you have to do is you got to find a way to get these guys at the top out of the game. That's what you have to do. Because the rest of these guys are very unproven in conference, right? Like Georgia Tech's pitching staff has been heavily, it's not even, out of 153 innings, these 5 pitchers have thrown, let's just round up and we go 30, 25, so 55, 28, that's 83, call it 100. 117 innings have been thrown out of the 153 by these 5 pitchers. All right. So let's go to Miami's stats in conference. Let's go to Miami's conference stats here. Pulling it up. So that is the weakness of Georgia Tech. The weakness of Georgia Tech is that if you got to go with somebody outside of those 5 arms, like you don't really know what you're going to get because they haven't thrown any innings. Really, the name of the game is chasing McKee and Jones early. If Miami can get to Patel and Payton on Friday night, they're in a great spot. Yeah, exactly. If really the whole pitching strategy for Georgia Tech breaks down if McKee goes 2 or 3 innings. Because then you throw Patel, 4 innings? He's done for the weekend. And then if it's a close game still, you go Payton if it's close. And then all of a sudden, maybe you can throw Payton on the Sunday. But it becomes way more chaotic as far as and volatile as far as strategy goes if Payton and Patel both go. And even if they lose, right, Dusty? Even if they lose, but those 2 arms are used, it becomes much more difficult because you have to use guys that you really just don't know what you're going to get because they've thrown 5 innings. The most innings outside of those 5 guys that have been thrown in conference is 5 in 18 games. So let's look at this. So even Miami's even worse in conference offensively. They're hitting almost 100 points lower than Georgia Tech. Almost 100 points lower. In 15 games, they've scored 77 runs, so they're averaging 5 runs a game. Thoughts and prayers to the tragedy of FSU. 100%, Zach. 100%. That's really, really terrible. Now let's look at the pitching. The pitching's been even worse in the ACC. A 6.13. Now, AJ Siskar has been solid, 3.78. Griffin Hughes has been a little bit worse in conference, 4.4 ERA. And then, again, you've thrown Tate DeRios has been pretty decent. Outside of him, the rest of these guys have thrown 3 innings, 1 inning, 5 innings, 4 innings. Again, you don't really know what you're going to get with a lot of these guys. They've only thrown 5 innings. Not to be a jerk, but Miami has some young guys getting a bunch of starts that wouldn't sniff the lineup at Georgia Tech this season, plain and simple. Yeah, Georgia Tech, to get in that lineup, if you're looking at Georgia Tech's lineup, the only weak spot is Brocious, who hits right at the bottom of the order. FSU canceled their series with Virginia this weekend. how is that going to play out in the entire? I mean, that sucks for Virginia. I mean, like again, like the situation at Florida State is terrible, right? Like, we want to make sure that's said, and we're like pray thoughts and prayers for the community and the people that died at FSU and all that stuff. But think about that for Virginia. Are they going to make up that series? That's 3 big games against the top team in the ACC that if you win that series, that really boosts your tournament chances and your hosting chances. Because again, Virginia still has the ability to host with 12 games left. If they go 9-3 the rest of the way, they're a host, and maybe even 8-4. They're in the host conversation. Danny Burke, that is an understatement, brother. Yeah. So again, Kane's just on both sides of the ball. It just doesn't like the series win for Miami. I think rests on what happens Friday night. If Georgia Tech has to throw, but if you knock Tate McKee out in like 2 innings or 3 innings, and Patel can't finish, and it's a close game, and Payton's got to come in. And again, and maybe if it's a close game, Georgia Tech doesn't even use Payton. They just hope one of their other guys can finish it. But that's kind of the whole. That's kind of the whole thing. Link Jarrett with his RPI cheating. I don't think that was Link Jarrett's decision, Canes, just to be honest. I think that came down from the administration 100%. I remember against Notre Dame on the road when it was a tied series. That Sunday game got canceled for some reason. I'm not sure why. But all their athletic events this weekend, not just baseball. Yeah, 100%. But it's going to be interesting to see, like, do they make up that series, like, somehow? I don't think you can. So that's going to have a major impact on, like, Virginia's tournament hopes and all that stuff, right? That's going to be interesting to find out what happens with Virginia, and how are they judged by a tournament committee having missed that series. If Virginia can't play that series, their season is basically done. That's brutal for them. Yeah, I mean, that's a major series, right? Because Virginia has started to play a little bit better. And if they could win that series, that's a big boost for their tournament chances and all that stuff. Again, you're missing 3 games in the ACC conference for RPI and all those things and strength of schedule. That becomes a major series like that. You almost can't afford to miss that series. I'm sure FSU doesn't care about baseball at all. Right? Oh, 100%. I mean, and I think they're doing the right thing. It's just that's going to have a major impact on Virginia's season, right? Like, there's just no other way to look at it. The video of the shooting is terrifying. Yeah, I saw on the trending timeline that there's, videos of it. I can't imagine. I don't even want to watch it, to be honest. Micah from FQACC said after the Liberty loss, Virginia dropped 17 spots in the RPI to the high 80s. They need a miracle. Yeah. But again, their RPI will get boosted if they just finish strong in ACC play, even without the series. But again, that's a big one, right? It's a big one. Kyle, does Wesleyan have a chance to win the state title or not enough arms? I think we definitely have a chance. We have a really good number one. We have a really solid number two and a really solid number three. Our number two and number three are very similar. I'm sure there's a team out there with like a better number two, but we definitely have a chance. I mean, we're going to be one of the top seeds in the playoffs. I actually have to go in a second because we got a game tonight. For all ACC teams, we can't lose midweeks anymore. It just destroys the RPI. Yeah, 100%. Like it's almost what you're going to start seeing is like ACC and SEC teams are just going to schedule ACC teams and SEC teams in the midweek, that are outside their conference, because you lose to a mid-major, it just kills your RPI. Especially those. What's really tough. Who is the number two? It's either Thomas Pressman or Maddox. Why can't I think of his last name now? You're blank. You're putting me on the spot. But they're both like low to mid 80s. They throw strikes. They got decent breaking stuff. So like they can keep any lineup in check. Our number one is like high 80s, low 90s, and he throws a slider for a strike every time. Like very good pitcher. But all right, guys, that's gonna be it for me today. I gotta get dressed and get going. But thanks for tuning in. We'll do a live stream tonight after all these games are played and just talk about what's going on and how people are looking and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. It'll be later tonight. So thanks for tuning in.